kiss me below, and darkness is all that I know. I'm breaking down and I need some room to breathe. Oh, oh, 'cause the weight of this has got me down on my knees. How the hell did I wind up here?
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, especially, of course, as you're slap bang in the middle of a tour. You're playing Columbus, Ohio tonight, right?
Correct. Yes, it is a very busy time, and yeah, we were just trying to do our best to make it work and chat with you. And yeah, we'll start driving in a little bit, but we'll make it work.
Okay, well then, how's the tour going so far? Have you been having a good time?
Oh, I mean, so we've got these two tours back to back. We did a couple weeks with Electric Callboy. That was an unbelievable tour. It's the best one any of us have ever done, and you know, huge shows, sold out tour. The bands are all amazing people. The crew is amazing. Like everyone's just amazing. We met so many new fans. That was incredible. And now we're on tour with Icon for Hire. You know, it's a smaller tour, but everyone's also just equally awesome, and we're having a great time.
You finding that being a support band and people turning up early, that they're really resonating with what you're doing. They're really getting into it.
100%. Actually, we were surprised and excited at how many people were there early for the Electric Callboy dates, because we were the opener. You know, sometimes we were on at like 6 p.m., 6 or 7 p.m., and people are just getting off work, but the venues were still absolutely packed for our set, and it was really, really cool because we didn't expect that. And we had some local venue people also say that this is very rare, and we had such a good reception as well. We had people moshing, we had people cheering, we had people like singing along, we had people, you know, we during our last song of our set, we always have people, it's kind of a quiet part, we always have people bring out their phone flashlights and do the, you know, the typical lights thing in the dark. So it's so cool. It's so cool to see people participating, and just such an amazing welcome.
If you're of a certain age, there used to be lighters. We'd use lighters back in the day.
Yep. It's funny, every once in a while someone will still pull out a lighter, but I think a lot of people just don't have them. Or they're like, you know what? I already have my phone in my hand. I'm just going to do this.
It's much more effective. Well, job done, of course. New album release, Slow Burn, 8th of September by Mascot Records. Been a couple of weeks.
Yes.
How's your head feeling about it now?
Well, it's interesting because I think if we were at home with the release, you know, we might be feeling differently, just because there might be a bit more time to think and really soak it all in. I feel like we've had a bit less time to soak it all in when we're on the road, and we're so busy, and we are our own crew and things like that, and we do our own merch and everything. So, you know, what little time we've had to really process it, we're super excited, and we've had great response so far, great reviews so far. It's nice to finally play a couple of these new tunes in our set, and I don't know, we're just so excited, and it's been so long since the band has released an album, and it just feels so good to put it out.
Yeah, the reaction has been pretty phenomenal. Just a cursory trawl through social media, YouTube comments and stuff like that would tell you that it is going down very, very well.
We are very, very thankful to, you know, the fans and the reviewers and the media and anyone who's helped us spread the word and spread the love so far. And yeah, we're really feeling it. And so I think it's going to sink in even more when we get home. We all get home in about a week, and I think that's when we'll really get to enjoy, you know, the bulk of this release.
You get to reflect on the phenomenal achievement of not just releasing the album, but doing these tours back to back and playing with bands the size of Electric Callboy and having people turn out and love the new songs as well in the set list. I mean, it could be a bit of a come down moment almost to a degree.
Oh, 100%. Especially after any tour, really, you get that kind of post-tour blues when you get home and you're like, oh man, I kind of miss this and that. You know, when you're on the road, it can be tough for sure. It's not as glamorous as it sounds, especially at our level. So, you know, there's definitely I wish I was at home in my own bed. Then you get home in your own bed and you're like, oh man, I wish I was playing shows. So it's a bittersweet kind of thing when you come home.
Well, just waiting to the next one, basically.
Exactly.
So going way back to the early poor days of the entire album creation process, did you have a vision for what you wanted this record to be at the start?
I mean, it's not quite the same as doing, say, a concept album for sure, where like there really is like a clear vision and a clear story. I think it was really more uh, I'd say it's more a culmination of all the feelings and experiences that the band members have been through the last couple of years, whether it's pandemic or personal experiences, things like that. It really is just, I don't know, it really is a combination of a lot of things. And I don't know, I feel like that's like such a cool part about creating an album. It's every song has its own purpose. And then it kind of comes together on its own in a little way. I don't know. Yeah, there's really two ways you can do it. One way is like with a very specific plan and vision, and this is what we're doing, and this is why. But I think that it's more organic when it kind of comes together, when each song has a very specific purpose and a specific message and a specific emotion behind it. But when when things start fitting into place, and you're like, yeah, you know what, these do really work well together, and you start kind of organizing your songs into an album. And I'd say that's probably more how this one was put together.
One of the most spectacular things about the record is that every song does stand on its own two legs. They could all be individually released as singles and be phenomenal in that aspect, but put them in the album scenario, and what you have is a collection of, as you said yourself, feelings and thoughts and stories, personal and wider issues. So it's incredible that's how it turned out.
Yeah, definitely. Like it still all makes sense together. There's still common ties, common messages throughout all the songs. There's definitely themes that you can hear throughout the album, whether they're musical themes or lyrical themes. And yeah, I don't know. We're all just really happy with how everything turned out. And there's a little bit of something for everyone on the album, whether it's in the message or it's in maybe the style. But it's still all very Conquer Divide. Like I'd like to think that if you heard any of the songs, you would know that you would still be able to hear that it's Conquer Divide.
Without question, absolutely. So thinking about the entire album creation process, for you personally, what were some of the more challenging aspects of making this record?
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's tough because there's a lot of people involved in the creation of an album. There's a lot of different opinions. There's a lot of different thoughts and different experiences, and there's all the individual band members, but then there's producers, there's the label, there's a lot of people who have different thoughts on maybe what songs should go on the album and where we should take this song, or where what the overall maybe vibe should be. And I think that that's probably the biggest challenge when you're putting an album together in general, is just what songs do you put on it, like, and what are the singles going to be, and there's a lot of work goes into producing an album and putting it together and choosing the songs, and which songs do we think people are going to like, because there's plenty of other songs that we think are great songs that aren't on this album, for example. So it's tough when you have to start. It's like choosing your favorite child. It's very difficult.
But I have to ask, how did you choose what would end up in this album?
Yeah, some of it was, I mean, I don't want to say it wasn't like a physical vote or anything, but it's a lot of discussion. It's what do we think is going to resonate with people at this time? What do we think is going to reflect the band and where the band stands at this time? What messages are the most important to prioritize right now? And then it's also, as like all the songs come together as an album, do we feel like these songs fit together better as a part of that collection that's going to appear on the album, versus maybe another song we feel we love this song, but maybe it's not the best fit for these other songs that we've already chosen that are going to go on the album. So it's really kind of a back and forth for a while about what makes sense together, what do we think is going to resonate with people, what songs do we like, and then do we need to save something for later? Do we, or it's tough. It really is not the most fun process for me, like, or in my opinion. It's it's because it's challenging. Like I said, it's like choosing your favorite child. So it's a bit stressful, but we feel very confident that the songs that were chosen for this album are the right ones and that they all deserve to be together.
It is challenging. It is stressful, as you say. So I have to ask the opposite side of that. As you mentioned it, it's not the most fun to do all of this stuff, but what was about the entire album creation process for you personally fun or exciting?
There's a couple of songs on the album where they've been either in the works or they've either been in the works for a long time or they were written a couple of years ago and maybe they kind of had a new life injected into them for this album. But I think that's really exciting when it's a song you've been sitting on for some time and you haven't been able to release it and to finally be able to put it on an album. Some of the songs on the album were written more recently, but yeah, there's a couple of them that have been in the archives for quite some time, just waiting to be released. And I think that's one of the most exciting things to me, which is songs you really like that haven't been given their fair chance that can finally see the light of day.
Getting to finally complete them.
Yeah, 100%. I think Afterthought is one of those where it was written quite a while ago. It was kind of partially rewritten with when the new album was being compiled. But it's just so exciting. Like, it's just great to finally be able to put out that song.
Have you noticed one track from the album that is resonating with listeners in a way that maybe you didn't expect?
I don't know, because I think we tried to not have too many expectations with what was going to resonate. I guess we had maybe certain hopes where we think, oh, this is my favorite song. Oh, this is Kia's favorite song. This is Kristen's favorite song. But we didn't really know. And so we thought, let's put it out and let's see what people think. And for me personally, Pressure is one of my favorites. And that seems to be one that's resonating with a lot of people. It's not one that has been released as like an individual single or hasn't been pushed as a single at this point. But that's one that always resonated with me lyrically. And we've been getting a lot of comments that Pressure is a lot of people's favorite. Welcome to Paradise as well. I know that's an important song for some people in the band, and people seem to really enjoy that one as well. People love Atonement, people love Paralyzed. Like, I don't know if there's really been any surprises just because we've been trying to manage our expectations.
But it sounds like it must be wonderful to have such a variety. If everybody was focused to say on one track, you'd be like, okay, that's cool. But the fact that you've got all these different tracks that are doing well and people are saying that are favorites, well, it kind of fits the whole album anthemic, banger after banger.
That's what we were hoping, and that's why it was so difficult to choose singles and to even just choose songs for the album, because every song is written with such purpose, and it's not like, oh, we're gonna just put on some throwaway tracks, to fill out the album. Every single song has had such care put into its composition, and like you said, it's like there's a lot of bangers. It's just each song could be its own single, and we're just grateful that people are there. Everybody is finding the song that resonates with them personally, and that's really important to us.
Yeah, we've said it so many times, repeat it. It's an album, unskippable tracks. But of course, we've got limited time, so I can't pick your brains about every single one. But I have selected just a few. So I'd love to start with Paralyzed, one of the most infectious tracks on the entire album, for sure. I think it's a track as well that everyone can relate to, even if they don't immediately know they can. Talk to me, because you mentioned it as being a favorite as well. That transforming the idea for that track into reality, did that come quite easy?
I mean, so it's hard for me to speak on that because the lyrics. So Kristen composed the lyrics for that track, and they're very personal to her, and her experience as working as an ICU nurse during the pandemic, flying around the United States, and seeing a lot of people lose their lives to COVID, and it was a very difficult period, and a lot of it has to do with kind of the depression that resulted, and not really realizing what's going on until later when everything's kind of settled and you're like, oh wow, this was a really kind of messed up experience. And so I think that probably getting those thoughts on paper, I imagine, is a challenge for sure. And when you go through something like that and realize, and you're kind of starting to analyze it later when you have time to analyze it and realizing like, wow, this was a really difficult time in my life. And being able to translate that into a song, I think, is very challenging. And I mean, that's really, I think, as much as I can say on it.
No, I understand, and it is powerful. It is. That's ultimately, it's a powerful, powerful track. But it's not alone. And the other one I want to bring up now is Pressure, because it's one of my personal favorites and one that resonates with me. So I wanted to ask, what does Pressure look like for Conquer Divide as things stand right now? And what do you do to negate as much of it as you possibly can?
In terms of the lyrical content?
No, it's in terms of the band in general. So taking it quite literally, pressure, and the pressures we all exist in whatever specific way.
Yeah, so I mean, the concept behind Pressure is dealing with things like writer's block and not feeling like you can maybe get the words out, or maybe for me, I always interpret it as maybe not feeling like you're good enough and feeling like, well, who am I to be moving forward on some of these things that I'm interested in. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely more pressure literally put on a band for sure, as things grow and your community grows and you get more known, and their expectations are a lot higher. And so being expected to, say, put out a certain caliber of music, that's challenging, and meet everyone's expectations. And it was definitely difficult when, this band put out a metalcore record in 2015, and it was maybe, we were unsure of maybe how fans would react to Slow Burn, because there's still some of those like metalcore bangers, but there's a little bit more maybe mainstream sounding, more radio friendly tunes as well, but it's a little bit less screaming. So it was also like, there's also a bit of pressure there in terms of, how do you make sure that the OG fans are happy, but the new fans also like it, but that the band also likes it, because we don't want to put out anything that we don't believe in, that we don't think is going to be good, or that we don't like.
It is it's a constant drain on the mind, almost to a certain degree, because alongside that, of course, you're likely having the pressures of having to be active on things like social media and all of that, which is itself a draining experience. Do you think as a group you've got a good handle on those expectations of being in a band?
Yeah, I think we all have really high standards, and we have high expectations of ourselves, and we know there's a lot more that we could be doing, and it's just a matter of like finding the time to do it, finding the money to do it, finding the resources to do it. And we've got a solid team now who's there to support us as well, but there's still always more that we could be doing. So when it comes to like making TikToks and making content, and it's tough. We're doing our best, but we also think we could probably do more. So, after this tour, we got a lot of content from this tour that we're going to be sharing, tour stories, other videos. We got some other fun TikToks. But there's a lot that's expected of a band in 2023. And it's not just to play music and write music. It's, you're merchandisers, you are content creators, social media mavens. So it's a lot for sure. But, we're doing what we can.
All anybody can expect of you is to do the best you possibly can in a constantly shifting, moving, fast-paced world. So if you do anything and are able to keep sane doing it, you're winning, basically.
100%. I mean, it's nearly impossible to be a band today without having a solid social media presence, and it's tough because everyone's got to be all hands on deck. Everyone in the band needs to be participating and contributing. And yeah, it's the life we live now.
Agreed. Finally, I wanted to talk about Gatekeeper, mainly because frustratingly, it's still as relevant in 2023 as ever. There are aspects that are improving, but it's still extremely slow and without issue. What, from your perspective, what do you feel Conquer Divide can do to kind of assist breaking down these absurd walls and ceilings that have been placed around women in rock and metal?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is definitely just to not try to not care, and it's easier said than done for sure. But I mean, if you ever see like our responses to mean comments, for example, online, like we don't take ourselves too seriously, and we don't let like rude or sexist comments get to us. Like we will bite back just as hard. We will make fun of them. That that's kind of the whole vibe of our band online. Like we won't take it lying down. Like we're gonna bite pretty hard back if people are gonna be rude to us. So I know that a lot of people, they're gonna shut down and they're gonna feel really sad about it, and that really sucks. And so we want to be there to show that like, no, you can't stop us. Like you can't kill us, right? So a lot of that comes out, I think, online and the way that we respond to, say, rude comments, and then just doing what we're doing. So just by being here in general and being a band of all women, we want to make sure that we're highlighting women in heavy music and show that we can do it. We can tour, we can make music, we can work with other bands, we can do our thing, and we can be active online. We don't care what other people say. We legitimately don't care. If someone's going to say something negative about us or try and hold us back, it fuels us to prove them wrong even further. And so there's definitely still a lot of roadblocks for us in the industry, 100%. We've seen them. But it really just incentivizes us to work harder and to really prove ourselves. And it sucks that we have to do that, but this is the world we live in. This is the game we got to play. So, if we're going to have to, be that way, we're here, we're doing it. So, and we're not going to stop.
There it is. Absolutely. If you're going to say stupid rubbish online about Conquer Divide, you're going to get a middle finger back, basically, and deservedly so.
Yep.
Finally, last question, and you can get back on the road. For you, what would be a good measure of this album's success when you look back on it, say, in a year's time?
Ooh, well, I don't know if this will explain the entire album's success in a year's time, but I think seeing people sing lyrics back live is amazing, and especially if it's not the singles. I think that would probably be a good indication that the album as a whole has resonated with people, because if people are finding some of our non-singles and they're still loving them and they're still learning them, and it's not just the ones that we're really pushing, to me that is the sign of a really strong album, because you want to make the album unskippable. You want to make sure that people are getting to know all of the songs and not just the singles. And I think for me, that would be a sign that this album has done what it needs to as an album.
Yeah, it's still the most important thing, the whole live experience, being fans coming to see you, singing along, enjoying themselves. Any chance you can tell me when you're going to be coming to the UK?
I wish I had an answer for you. I really do, because we want nothing more. Like one of our huge goals for 2024 is to get to the UK and get to Europe. I mean, there's a lot of other. It'd be amazing doing like South America. It'd be amazing doing Asia. But number one for sure would be to come to the UK and to Europe. I wish I had an answer for you on when or with whom or any of those things, but do know that is a big priority for us, and we're just trying to find ways to make it work. It's super expensive, but we're gonna do what we can to get over there. So stay tuned for sure.
Anywhere and everywhere, keeping yourselves as busy as humanly possible throughout 2024. Festivals, countries, wherever you can go. Ultimately, that is what's going to lead to success. And of course, Slow Burn, it's been out for a couple of weeks. Release date for 8th of September via Mascot Records. An incredible release. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the support. And yeah, we couldn't do it without people like you. So hopefully we'll see you out there soon.
Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website, where reviews, news, and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.